Good morning. My name is Elizabeth de Vries, and I wanted to come on today, and I will post beneath this video a photograph of the full moon that I'm going to talk about, which occurs tomorrow Pacific Standard Time at 11:26 a.m. exactly at the start of the Democratic National Convention. I find it very interesting that the last two conventions, the Republican had a horrific Mars-Uranus conjunction that brought forth a tragic attempt on the president's life. This full moon is just chock full of dynamic, conflicting, opposing energies. So you can feel that the actual convention itself is going to emerge. Probably what I'm feeling with the Leo versus the Aquarius at 27 degrees, squaring Uranus at 27 degrees exactly. Many astrologers have said this is the most powerful full moon of the entire year. Not only do we have a grand square in fixed energies, the Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, but we also have a grand square between Venus in Virgo, squaring Mars, Jupiter conjunction in Gemini, squaring Saturn in Pisces, all within 1 degree of each other. So we've got double squares. We've got the fixed configuration of squares, and then we have the mutable configuration of squares. This is creating a lot of inner angst, and I'm sure many of you have noticed over the last week that there's been kind of a build-up within yourself, a peeling away of veils, looking at our ego, looking at what upsets us, looking at where we feel lost, abandoned, or disappointed in somebody else. There's a capacity in human nature to project things outward, to blame the other person. But if you really want to take astrology to the deepest level of soul benefit and soul growth, keep reflecting all things that occur in your life back onto yourself. And what is your role in it? What are you supposed to learn from it? What is the lesson in store for you? Now, when we get a Leo opposing Aquarius, we've got the most egocentric, the sun being the center of our universe, the sun being the ruler of Leo. You've got that ego in full power, also in full radiance, in full light. It's fire, it's fixed fire. The sun is the ruler of our planetary system within our grouping. And then you've got the moon, which is the feminine subconscious nature, but it's not sitting well in Aquarius because the moon is a very personal, kind of watery, emotional sign. The moon being in Aquarius is more detached, it's fixed, so it's rigid belief thoughts that the emotional nature holds onto. I want you to think about that the Aquarius is a sign of fixed air. So it's a fixed mind, it's belief systems, it's also the general populace. The moon of the United States is also in Aquarius, reflecting, you've got the Cancer sun of the more personal, emotional, feeling nature of the American soul versus the detached sort of many nationalities, many races, many colors taking over with the moon in Aquarius. But also we can get attached to belief systems, and because it's in Aquarius, we can get attached to far out belief systems. We can get attached to conspiracy theories. We can get attached to mental constructs that were inflicted on us as children, and we have a hard time releasing it. So our when the Constitution was drawn up and the moon was in Aquarius, there was a tendency for everybody to be in their corner with their beliefs. And it's been ever thus, sort of the battle between warring factors of different nationalities, different religions, different races. And that's been one of our main, it gives us a humanitarian bent, so we do care about other countries, we do care about NATO, we do care about more of a global experience, and our, need to lead with that global experience. So this full moon is a doozy, because you've got Uranus there breaking up all the old stuff, all that. So you're going to see in this convention, I feel, a kind of an inner battle that's going on between honoring and preserving the old. So you're going to see people speaking from sort of the old guard, and then you're going to see the new exciting breakup of this electric. People are always describing the energy around Kamala and Tim Walz as an electric energy when you're in their presence, and that's that Uranian influence on it. It's like expect the unexpected. Expect them to break boundaries and barriers and ways of presentation that have never been. Expect it to be in alignment with the youth, with the computerization, or leading it off with Moon in Aquarius, which is about computers, is about AI, is about the future, is about futuristic dreams and aspirations. So you're going to hear a lot of the new toward the end of the convention. And the first part will be more the old guard, the Leo sun, and you're going to see that as being sort of the stalwart. That generation is kind of coming from the Pluto in Leo generation. That's fading. And with each election, for example, with this election compared to our last election, 20 million of the old guard have died off, and 40 million youth have been added to the voting system. So you could see the influx of new thoughts, the influx of more leaders like AOC. You could see the melding of Kamala with the kids on TikTok, and her kind of being in between the one and the other. So that's very interesting, I find. And I find this Uranian influence, it's going to be things breaking up. They're going to expect the unexpected. There could be some, I don't know, you could see a lot of Palestinians outside really protesting, really wanting to have their voices heard on what's going on in Gaza. So you might see that emerge, that kind of Uranian wake up, listen to us, go beyond the box of thinking, and let's look beyond just protecting Israel and sending money to Israel. The Palestinian philosophy being, we need to protect our own. The ones that haven't been killed are starving. What are we going to do about it? And that is calling on our humanitarian nature. And with Uranus in there, you may see Kamala actually personally addressing this issue, where Joe Biden has been more loath to bring that to the foreground. I feel with her, that because with her, it's all about, she and Tim Walz, it's all about the populace. It's all about the worker. Now, President Biden was always very respectful of the working class, having emerged from that as himself and grown up in a family where he experienced that. But with these two, there's more of a personal immersion in the populace and in having to kind of make their own way to what they've achieved in life, and their great kind of continual reference back to the populace and the worker bees and the middle class. This will be the focus of this convention, with Uranus in there smashing and moving everything around with the Uranian energy. The other thing that I mentioned was that Venus is squaring Mars conjunct Jupiter in Gemini, and Saturn opposing Saturn, Venus opposing Saturn. So there's going to be some kind of, it's just going to affect Donald Trump pretty heavily, because the Saturn is in direct square to, and the Venus squaring his sun and moon. So it's a kind of a feeling of flailing about, because Saturn being the planet of the Lord of Karma, and Saturn being in Pisces right now, what is the message of Saturn in Pisces for us globally, for us nationally, for us individually? It is get out there and serve, or suffering will ensue. So his old method of the ego and I is not working anymore. That direction of our world about I against the world and everything's unfair and we're victims, that's moving away. Uranus is saying, get over yourself, wake up, get out there, think about serving, think about helping others, stop whining, stop going on about yourself. And the Jupiter-Mars squaring Saturn, there's an opening up of what is spirituality. Saturn squaring Jupiter. Are you being prideful? Are you using spirituality, for example, like with the evangelicals, trying to use that for your own betterment? Because if you are, Saturn's not going to allow you to do that, and you probably are going to see more and more people moving away from supporting Donald Trump, people of spirit, people of even the evangelical movement. I saw yesterday evangelicals for Kamala, and you're going to see people that are going to be testing their own ingrained belief systems, Aquarius, squaring Uranus, and shifting, waking up, getting a smack up beside the head. And it's for all of us. Let's look at our own lives and where we're projecting onto others, what others are doing to us. And let's throw that victim out. And let's say, I have a choice. This is my life. I can move forward into my own life with a new set of perspectives. That it's not just going with the flow, but actually creating within yourself uprisings of new thoughts and letting them filter through your mind and saying, I could look at this differently. This moon will be in the 4th house of our subconscious for those Pacific Standard Time. And the sun will be up in the house of how the world sees us, absolutely right beside Mercury retrograde. So you've got this moon opposite Mercury retrograde in Leo. So that ego is really getting a smash right now. And egocentricity is not working. It's not working at all. Uranus will not allow it to work. And with Mercury square Uranus right now, and Uranus being the higher octave of Mercury, going to more of the higher consciousness of the mind rather than the I mind, which is the Mercury in Leo. It's a very self-appointed expert on things. It's saying, break that up, let's look at it from a more ethereal, more conscious perspective. So we're being asked individually, nationally and globally, to think beyond our old concepts, our old precepts, our old ways of, well, Tim Waltz calls it preaching to the choir. Now the choir keeps getting moving. But I think we need to go beyond preaching to the choir. I think we need to go to a place of listening to all beings. Now, how did they come to that perspective? Why are they thinking that way? What's hurt them? What's missing in their life that is making them drawn to, say, a massive number of conspiracy theories? Or why is that person so set in their ways? And listening and trying to build bridges. Uranus is breaking up the old ways of communicating, the old ways of finding pathways to each other's hearts. And Leo, in its highest and most glorious form, is the ruler of our heart. So our heart becomes ultimately the center of our divine existence. And so I'm going to end there with that. If anybody would like an astrological reading of how this powerful, they call it the sturgeon full moon. That's only because sturgeon, being a glorious fish for the fishermen, this was the time of year when they were most, the best time to catch them. So that's why it's called that. The other names are like the harvest moon, or there are many other attributes of this full moon. So I hope this gives you a wee bit of an insight into what's coming up and how that full moon affects us a good 3 days before, carries through to a few days after. So it's literally imprinting the entire convention. So I say about the convention, expect the unexpected, expect some uprisings or some people protesting deeply about things that matter to the heart. Leo, people from overseas, Aquarius, people from different backgrounds. We need to listen, we need to respond, and we need to join together. This is the message of that. My name, as I said at the beginning, is Elizabeth de Vries. I have a website. You can reach me at angelicmercy44@gmail.com. My website is called angelicmercy.com because, in my perspective, the most beautiful of all traits is the capacity for mercy for all of life. Thank you. Enjoy the full moon.